Projection is really at the root of a lot of human suffering. In my experience, that's the thing that gets in the way of just, abiding in peace the most along the path. It's not necessarily an obstacle that can be transcended, but it certainly is as long as we're being ruled by it. And I think I want to start by saying the projection is not something that we want to get rid of. It's something that we want to become conscious of so that we stop being ruled by it and we instead actually use it as a tool, as a means of untangling um, that which is in us. And yet, because it's kept in the shadow, we don't really want to acknowledge that that's what's inside, we project it onwards. And we can project any quality onto anyone, whether it is ourselves or the other. Of course, if we're speaking about projection, we're talking about the other, and it's the entire range from shadow to light. It feels like light is something that is not quite as widely spoken about, but it applies just the same. As we acknowledge somebody's inherent goodness, kindness, quick wit, a sense of humor, stability, resourcefulness, confidence, it is qualities that resonate with the very same qualities inside of ourselves, but to some extent we have not owned them. We, perhaps due to humility or insecurity, even, we project those qualities onto other people and kind of aspire to be them or embody those qualities. Whereas those qualities are not out there, they are in here all along. And sure, in the relative sense, there is a sense of embodying something. We can watch somebody perform, play guitar and sing or speak in front of an audience. And we might aspire to become better public speakers. And in the relative sense, there is a path to becoming that. And yet, we already have that seed within us. It's not something out there. But the light projection is obviously way less problematic for obvious reasons than the shadow kind of projection, which is seeing in somebody else a quality that is rather uncomfortable or undesirable that we, again, hold in ourselves. So it's like a matching of frequency, like a resonance. And so rather than seeing the inner judge in me, I become angry with this one friend that is pointing something out in me. And the internal narrative becomes, well, this person is so and so, and I don't like them because they're so judgmental. But really, I am just projecting my own judge onto them. And the same relationship that I hold internally with my inner judge is what is then being shown to me, as a matter of fact, in the relationship with the other person. And in that moment, projection and even the, trigger, the contraction around whatever emotion is arising, whatever event or person we have in mind, goes from being problematic and an issue to, in fact, being an act of grace, a something that stems from deep within our souls, that deep soul intelligence that is aiming to get us to see that which we need to see and acknowledge and welcome home. Essentially, this all becomes about walking each other, but also in this kind of fractal way, not only each other as humans, but also our, inner orphanage, inner family system, our parts, ourselves. We're walking all of that back home into the light of awareness. That is the first step. And as awareness, there already is unconditional love, total agendalessness, compassion, beyond measure. So we don't have to manufacture those qualities. It's just about acknowledging, becoming aware of, and then loving those parts of ourselves that we see in others. And that becomes a way of sadhana, a way of walking a path. And again, if we can wake up in that moment of becoming triggered, and if we can come back to our center and rest in that which is beyond the push and pull, then what I find personally is that usually the necessary information comes through together with the acceptance and allowing of the emotion. So if I'm feeling anger and there's another part, that says, "Oh, I shouldn't be angry. I don't want to feel like this," then there's that pitfall of getting stuck in that loop. But if I stay with the anger, if I really allow it, recognizing that it probably not only probably it for sure has something to tell me, then as I relax into it and it opens up, it the information comes through what it is that I'm not seeing in myself. And of course, that does not mean acting out from anger. There's a very subtle yet important difference in accepting and allowing the anger and expressing the anger in unhealthy ways. And we could make another video on that, perhaps I will, what that specifically means. But I'm not condoning expressing anger in destructive ways. And so you see, it's like walking a thin line, a balancing act, because we don't want to fall into either extreme of repressing that anger and trying to be goody goodies. And that just leads us to it's a path straight to emotional repression, and nothing good comes of it. But neither do we want to fall into the other end of, perhaps we could call it a bypass, that, well, this is a spiritual path and I need to get in touch with my anger. And so I'm just gonna, go out and yell at people on the street, right? It's not that. It's about welcoming, accepting, and really feeling whatever is present. I'm just using anger as an example. This applies equally much to whatever other emotion is present, be that anger or grief or, even ecstatic joy. Some people struggle to be with their joy. They feel guilty. They were taught in childhood that that's it's not safe to express joy, to be happy, right? So literally, I mean it. Any emotion, the first step is to befriend it, to accept it, to let down our guard and the resistance to it. And even that resistance is obviously another part that also wants to be accepted and loved, because maybe it is the protector part that learned through a series of experiences that it wasn't safe to express anger or joy. And so we don't want to make that part bad either. So it's really about opening our heart to everything that arises within us. And as we do that, we recognize the beauty and the sweetness in all of the parts, in all of ourselves, and then in others. And then the projection, slowly but surely, it kind of flips from projecting the bad and also not projecting the light. It balances out. It comes to this kind of middle where we see clearly the beautiful qualities that are present in all of us. But it's not disowned. It's not that you're good and I'm bad. It's more like everybody's good. There are no bad people, is a mantra that I came across recently and I really love. It really resonates. There are no bad people, there are only harmful acts. And as we begin to live that and actually see that as truth rather than a mantra that we try to tell ourselves, but it becomes like a lived experience that you can't even explain or talk somebody into, then that becomes our reality. We just see innocence and perfection in everything and everyone, including ourselves, right? Like it goes back and forth. It's the perfect mirror, the way that we are with others, what we see in others is how we are with ourselves, and vice versa. So we touched on a more than a couple of things here. I hope it's helpful. Leave a comment below what you would like me to talk about more, and I'll see you in the next one.